Here's your news for December 11th, 2019. We're starting off today with news about Seth Rollins' heel turn, as it may be some time before the Architect locks horns with Kevin Owens in the ring. On this week's Raw, the Canadian was a victim of an attack by both Rollins and the AOP, but now the WWE is reporting that Owens is undergoing tests after the attack. Though the statement by the company didn't include the cliched local medical facility, the statement reeked of kayfabe, but this explanation may be why a match between the two isn't scheduled for this Sunday's TLC pay-per-view. According to the Wrestling Observer, though, there may be an actual injury in this feud, but not for Owens, as Rollins reportedly broke his little finger last Sunday during a live event match against Eric Rowan in Augusta, Georgia. Interestingly, Rollins was supposed to wrestle Cedric Alexander on this week's Raw from Greenville, South Carolina in what was going to be a step in his heel turn, but the Beast Slayer still managed to embrace his darker side without doing the match. In his first promo, Seth mentioned dealing with an injury but didn't specify what was wrong, though F4W Online is reporting that despite his broken pinky, the former Universal Champion is cleared to compete. Though fans have seen Owens versus Rollins in the past, both men are very different now, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on whenever they actually wrestle, though it won't be this Sunday. Over to SmackDown now, and fans of the Blue brand may have noticed that they haven't seen much of Braun Strowman lately, and there's a good reason for that. According to the Wrestling Observer, the Monster Among Men missed a Jacksonville live event and SmackDown last week due to either a hip or back injury, but the injury isn't reported to be all that serious. If cleared, Strowman is expected to be put into a TLC match against Shinsuke Nakamura, and this angle for their match was supposed to be filmed last week. Time will tell whether Strowman gets to compete, as it was this very same event just 1 year ago that he was again limited thanks to an injury. It's been another week of WWE Backstage now, as fans are starting to get the idea of what the show will be like. While the panel, including CM Punk, have been critical of WWE on occasion, there are some topics that they have failed to broach, which in any true journalistic endeavor should have been covered. Even on his WWE-sanctioned podcast After the Bell, Corey Graves mentioned the travel issues in Saudi Arabia this past November, and even though it was just Graves giving his opinion, it was good to hear it addressed. Speaking to TV Insider, Backstage host Renee Young has confirmed that the pundits will check with WWE on what they cover, stating, "We want to do a service to WWE and Fox. Obviously, we will keep our fans in mind with all of it. We want to cover as much as we can, but we bounce stuff off WWE as well to see what they're comfortable with us talking about. I've worked there for so long, I know exactly what the line is always going to be anyway. We're still developing the show and listening to what fans want. We're always on social media and seeing what people are into and not into. We're going to cover the big headlines and the reaction, but also other stuff going on like Dana Brooke and Dave Bautista's weird love affair that's happening online. So we try to cover as much as we can. An hour goes by so quickly." That pretty much tells fans everything they need to know about Backstage, as while the show will be fun and discuss a lot, don't expect every major story to be covered with a truly critical eye. This week's episode also marked the return of CM Punk to the show, as the Best in the World was refreshed and ready to give his opinion after a few weeks away. Speaking about the end of last week's SmackDown, which saw King Corbin and Dolph Ziggler dump dog food on Roman Reigns, Punk said he didn't hate the segment, but also said this probably isn't the response fans were expecting from him. Following this up with a discussion on camera with Corbin himself, Punk said how he respects Corbin for being a heel and doing stuff that makes the fans boo, and the Lone Wolf confirmed Punk's suspicions that it was indeed real dog food. The former WWE champion also added Fantasy Booker to his list of titles on this week's show, as when addressing the Lana Rusev-Bobby Lashley saga, he said he would have had Lashley eventually dump Lana, leading the Ravishing Russian to manage a tag team to take on the unlikely duo of Rusev and the Destroyer. When asked about Seth Rollins' heel turn, the Best in the World was cautiously optimistic about the Beast Slayer, but did admit that after seeing Rollins with the Shield and later on with J&J Security, that he hopes this latest trio brings something new to the table. Listening to Punk, it's clear that he does have a vested interest in the current product, as he has found himself a nice spot in the WWE family as part of Backstage. We mentioned earlier that Corey Graves' After the Bell podcast addresses some things that Backstage won't, but fans will now have to wait until Thursday to hear what he has to say. The new schedule will kick off this week when Graves welcomes 3 huge guests to the show, as Charlotte Flair, the Street Profits, and Paige will all make their voices heard, and will likely be talking about their brand new Monday After Weekend Update show on Raw. After the Bell will now be dropping on Thursday from here on, and is available to listen to and download wherever podcasts can be found. One person that fans shouldn't expect on the podcast is Brock Lesnar, who doesn't talk much, and even his advocate Paul Heyman often sticks to eat, sleep, blank, repeat when describing the Beast. Now the WWE is wanting to lock down on that famous catchphrase, as the company filed for Eat, Sleep, Conquer, Repeat on December 4th, with the claim including all sorts of usages, including merchandising. Lesnar himself isn't expected to be in any matches or appearances for the rest of the year, despite being the WWE Champion, but could have the infamous slogan once again when he returns. Time will tell whether the Beast Incarnate sticks around long enough to get a new run of t-shirts, but with the road to WrestleMania starting up again soon, it may just be a matter of time before Heyman repeats his infamous catchphrase. From one star of WWE in the Octagon to another now, as there's been more speculation of the future of Ronda Rousey with WWE. After taking the majority of 2019 off, Rousey's career has been the focal point of Total Divas, but with the show wrapping up its 9th season yesterday, fans are wondering when the former Raw Women's Champion will appear next. Though COO Triple H says it's only a matter of time, it seems the Hot Rod isn't so sure herself, as she told People magazine, "I think I need to figure out a different way of doing it. To be able to not have to choose career over family or family over career and kind of find that happy medium. Right now, I think my family needs my undivided attention. I'm happy to give them that, but I'm trying to figure out a way or a system or somehow that I could give both my family and the WWE the best of me and not be half-ass in both." The 32-year-old says she's in no rush to come up with that system. That's at least partially because she doesn't think the WWE women's scene needs her. "The girls are doing amazing right now. I really don't think that I'm necessary in what's going on. I think they're crushing it, and I really did want to bring a spotlight to what they're doing and let them stand in it. And I think it's kind of better. They're better off with me taking a step away right now and kind of finding their stride without me. And I would love to add to what they're doing. I don't want to ever be a hindrance or take away from what they're doing or steal the spotlight from some up-and-coming girls that deserve it more than me. It's arguable that without Rousey's star power, there never would have been a women's main event to WrestleMania, though time will tell what the baddest woman on the planet does next, and whether she can do more for gender equality in wrestling without taking up a spot in the ring. We've got some unfortunate news next, as though we haven't had a wellness policy suspension in a while, that record was broken this week. In a statement put out by WWE, the news was confirmed that Primo Colón and Robert Roode will both be suspended for 30 days for their first violations of the company's policy that restricts the use of drugs in the industry. Roode wasn't seen on SmackDown last week, as fans assumed he was selling the beating from Roman Reigns on the November 29th edition of the Blue Brand. There was also a rumor that he and Ziggler would be challenging for the New Day's SmackDown tag titles at this Sunday's TLC event, but that's clearly not happening now. The 36-year-old Primo and his cousin Epico have been virtually absent from WWE in recent years, with their last appearance being 18 months ago in a February 2018 dark match. In their absence, the pair have worked with their father's World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico, and while the two are less than jobbers in WWE, Epico is the WWC's top champion. The last time a superstar was suspended over the wellness policy was in October 2016, when Paige got slapped with her second suspension in just 3 months. The program was brought in by WWE in February 2006 following the untimely death of Eddie Guerrero, as it shows nobody is above the rules. Some more uncomfortable news next up, as Britt McHenry has filed a lawsuit against Fox News and former WWE superstar Tyrus after claiming the network is a, quote, sanctuary for sexual harassers. Fans may remember Tyrus as Brodus Clay, and after working for Impact, now has his own show, Un-PC, which has regular ads during SmackDown. According to TMZ, McHenry's lawsuit claims that the only zero tolerance the network showed was against her for making these claims of sexual harassment in the first place, and that they've even refused to investigate her claims. Not only that, but McHenry also claims that the network shut her out of company events and have blacklisted her from appearing as a guest on their shows. These actions have all stemmed from McHenry outing Tyrus for alleged crude text messages she says were sent by him in 2008, with one message including the threat of a dick pic, as well as comments about her butt and legs. When McHenry brought these inappropriate actions to management, Fox News responded by giving Tyrus his own show, and McHenry claims that the right-wing pundit was never punished for his actions. As part of the case, McHenry also alleges that one text message from Tyrus reads, "Just pull your boobs out now, why don't you? Just grin and bear it," with another reportedly saying, "Keep being negative and I'll send you another dick pic." Commenting on the allegations in July, Fox News said the claims were investigated by an outside law firm and refused to comment any further on the matter, but have now been much harsher with McHenry's recent lawsuit, stating, "Ms. McHenry's lawsuit recycles the same allegations she filed with the New York State Division of Human Rights in October, to which we filed a response on Friday. As we have previously stated, Ms. McHenry's allegations have been fully investigated, and we are confident our actions will be deemed entirely appropriate in litigation. We expect all of her claims to be dismissed." Stay tuned to see where this case goes next, as it's clear McHenry's case against Fox News and Tyrus isn't going away soon. Back to WWE now, and while the new WWE on Fox Twitter account often crosses the line of asking questions that the company would rather not be asked, this week was no different. In the tweet, the account asked fans who they'd like to see inducted into next year's Hall of Fame next, and Randy Orton made his opinion clear, saying, "Ken Shamrock." Shamrock's absence from WWE since his departure in 1999 is very notable by fans. As though the world's most dangerous man has said he wants to return, the company haven't returned his calls. Speaking to Chris Van Vliet earlier this year, Shamrock spoke about his confusion with the company, saying, "I don't know if there is a relationship. I know I was there, and I know that I was able to be a part of something special. I just don't know if there was ever a relationship, because even after I left, it almost felt like I was the black sheep. Once I left, I was never mentioned again. No credit given, no highlights or anything shown. Nobody speaks of it. I don't know, it's just weird, it's just gone. Even when they did this Raw reunion and these other reunions, it's like, why wouldn't I have been there? I don't understand that. I don't know who I pissed off or what kind of bridges were blown up. I thought I did everything on a very professional level." During his 2.5 years with WWE, Shamrock did plenty, including being an Intercontinental and Tag Champion, though one thing he thankfully didn't do was compete in the Brawl for All tournament. A tournament with confusing rules meant to blend wrestling and MMA, Shamrock wasn't the only big name not involved, as fellow MMA star Dan the Beast Severn was reportedly asked not to compete, as the company feared that he would easily win the competition. Speaking to Wrestling Inc., Shamrock said the company did try and goad him into the brackets with the promise of $50,000 just for competing, but he turned it down, saying, "I worked hard to gain trust in the wrestlers. I just came from the world of fighting, and they want me to get into this brawl for all. I thought to myself, I'm a professional fighter. It's not fair to those guys to get involved because I'm at a different level. I respectfully declined. They were going to pay me $50,000 to fight for real when I make over $1 million to fight in something like that. Then I'm gonna have to fight multiple times to win it? You're not gonna give me 50 grand. It was about me being a professional fighter and them being amateurs." Time will tell whether Shamrock ever returns to WWE again, but after an impressive comeback in TNA recently, the company may finally be ready to welcome back the world's most dangerous man. This week's Monday Night Raw was the go-home show for the WWE TLC pay-per-view this Sunday, but that didn't quite save the red brand in the ratings. Showbuzz Daily is reporting that this week's show had a first hour averaging 2.25 million viewers, 2.2 million in the second, and 1.99 million in the third, averaging 2.15 million for the overall show. This is down from last week's average of 2.2 million, despite the show featuring the return of Matt Hardy, who made the trip from his North Carolina home, where he and wife Rebby welcomed their third son. Appearing in Greenville, Hardy was there to put over Drew McIntyre in a roughly 3-minute match, and after not being used by WWE in months, this was Hardy's second straight loss in consecutive weeks after losing to Buddy Murphy in a similar fashion. This has led some fans to speculate on the backstage relationship between Matt and WWE, but the former ECW champion took a professional route on Twitter, saying that the string of losses won't last forever. In that same tweet, Hardy said how the countdown to Arcadia had begun, which many have seen as Hardy waiting until his contract expires in February 2020. In Greek mythology, Arcadia is a paradise, and after a recent video by Hardy hinted at waiting 13 weeks for something, this has only added fuel to the rumor that Matt wants to leave. Reports are stating that having creative direction and creative freedom is said to be a sticking point in his negotiations, and given the fact that he just lost twice with little offense, it doesn't look like he's receiving a push anytime soon. Of course, this countdown and speculation may all end up being for nothing, as Hardy may just be counting down until his character's next reinvention. But all we know is that while Matt will be ready to leave in February, his brother Jeff's contract remains frozen. And finally, today we're ending with some news from Raw, as after Andrade lost to Humberto Carrillo this week, he was quick to blame Zelina Vega. This on-screen rift between the two didn't simmer down backstage, as a WWE camera caught the pair arguing behind the scenes, with Andrade yelling, "It's your fault," before walking away. When Vega was asked about their partnership though, she said things were fine, and while they've had disagreements in the past, they can work through this one. While Vega's story may be compelling, many fans aren't convinced after seeing the pair's fight backstage. And when one member of the WWE Universe suggested Andrade team with his real-life girlfriend Charlotte Flair, this got a grinning smile emoji from El Idolo. This infraction was quickly spotted by Vega, who said that the former NXT champion shouldn't mix business and pleasure, though Andrade told her to focus on his business as she remains his business manager. While it doesn't seem like Charlotte and Andrade will be on TV together anytime soon, you can never say never when it comes to WWE. And if the two do unite on Raw, then Vega could always join her real-life husband, Aleister Black, to take on La Sombra and the Queen.